founder of Celo, Rene Reinsberg, and EVP of Mobile for Opera, Jørgen Arnesen, join us now. Hello.
It's great to be here.
Yeah.
Guys,
thanks for having us.
Great to have you here. Now, we're talking about onboarding the masses. And what we're saying is maybe it's going to take a little bit longer than the industry hopes. Talk to us about your perspective. You're already doing it, aren't you?
Yeah, it's happening. It's happening now, and it's happening, I think, way faster than we're expecting. And you know, it took some time to get the basic plumbing in place. And I wrote about this earlier this year when I was reflecting on 5 years of Celo mainnet being live and all the stuff that had happened. But it was really all the building blocks that were needed to now finally unleash that kind of scaling that we want to see. And so I put out this kind of vision for 2030 where my hope is that Celo can be the home for like $1 trillion economy that actually brings 1 billion people on chain and has them enjoy all these amazing services we're all building. And one of the big actually products to make that happen, I would say this is like the superstar product in Web3 right now, is MiniPay, and that's what Jørgen and his team have been building at Opera.
Jørgen, before we get into MiniPay, and maybe your answer is going to incorporate something about MiniPay, what's your vision for 2030? We're heading to the end of the year. We're talking a lot about predictions and visions and looking into the future. What's yours?
It's pretty simple. I mean, Rene and I have been working together, MiniPay and the Celo teams, the Opera Celo teams for years now, and our missions are pretty much well aligned, and like bringing people online, bringing people into financial systems that are not able to do that today. We started building MiniPay outside of our browser apps in Africa. We have built a fantastic orchestration layer there, making it easy for people to get in and out of crypto. I think for us, with the roadmap we have ahead of us now, is bringing people online to the financial system is really what this is about, and the traction we've seen so far is the early flavor of what's coming ahead here. Utilizing that technology that the Celo blockchain brings, allowing people to easily transact and move money around easily, which is not necessarily easy in many of the fiat markets.
They say every time someone says we need to bring 1 billion users into crypto, an NFT loses its wings. And Rene, you mentioned it here.
Yeah.
But I do think this type of project that you guys are doing is we should be thinking in these 1 million, 5 million, 10 million increments.
Yeah.
Which I think you guys have a good number. Is it 10 million or so in MiniPay right now? To me, that's an extraordinary way to allow people to use blockchain in a product they already know and love with Opera, and to do so in a way that doesn't feel like you have to teach them a whole new way to use money. Right? And so tell us a little bit about the journey of what it takes to incorporate Celo, build MiniPay, and then roll it out. And what were both the sort of roadblocks as well as the successes?
Okay, maybe start quick on the product side. So what we're trying to do is make it easy for users to basically engage and use the underlying technology. So if you try out MiniPay, you'll see that we are abstracting a lot of, let's say, the complicated crypto-related features and components that not necessarily non-crypto native people are familiar with. Wallet addresses, we're using phone numbers to transact, and so that is a key enabler to that adoption that we've seen so far, and moving ahead. And of course, bringing that experience into the Opera application.
Look, the reason I'm bullish that we get to 1 billion is because Opera already has hundreds of million users, right?
Sure.
So we're not starting at zero like everybody else, but we're simply giving people that are already using Opera to connect to the internet now a way to also transact on the internet, right? And I think that's such a simpler kind of task in a way. I mean, getting to 1 billion people is always hard, right? But if you already have like hundreds of million users, it's a lot easier to get there, which is why I think this partnership has been so exciting, and we've been able to leverage sort of the best of Opera and the best of Celo and to bring it together for this amazing application.
Now, you already mentioned it, that the announcement today is this partnership is really to bring 1 billion folks to MiniPay by 2030. For our audience that's watching at home who's not yet experienced MiniPay, just talk us through how it works. How does someone use MiniPay?
And let me break down the announcement as well. So we have been partnered for a while on this, but today's announcement is really about doubling down on this partnership, and that's like extending it, but also we have a bunch of activations that we have planned going into next year. MiniPay started in Africa within the Mini browser, which has over 90% market share there. Since has seen in the standalone iOS and Android versions that are now kind of coming into the world, and with that we're seeing adoption really everywhere in Europe, in the US, definitely in many of the global South markets. And so we're saying, hey, look, let's go out, let's meet people and builders in all these regions, because MiniPay, beyond sort of the ability to send payments super easily, as Jørgen explained, also has this really rich and growing ecosystem of mini apps. So, everything that, you would want to do on the internet, but that requires a way of making a payment, like, simple commerce, like buying airtime or making a payment at a local store, all the way to like playing games where you win rewards, right? These are all things that are so much more easy when you have a wallet that's connected directly into the application. And I think that's sort of the power of this digital economy that MiniPay is at the center of.
And in addition, I think we talk about it in the statement today, that looking at our roadmap ahead, we are going to bring crypto card functionality into the application, further making the utility easier for people to interact and bridge that connection with the fiat systems. And we announced earlier, a couple of weeks ago, a pilot program where we are integrated MiniPay with Mercado Pago and Pix in South America. You'll see in the coming weeks and months that we are going to connect MiniPay with additional payment systems around the world, which is critically important to reach that mass adoption, making it, again, easier for users to transact.
When we were in Korea early this year, we heard this wonderful stat, which was Korea is a very forward-thinking market in terms of adoption. 37% of adults play in crypto. 66% of those have wallet balances under $500. Which means they're really looking at small transactions, maybe it might be investment, maybe stablecoins and payments. When I think of Africa, when I think of LATAM, when I think of Southeast Asia, all of these are markets where people just need a better financial system. Yep. They need a better financial app that works for them. Is that where really we think this grows, is because you have still 85% of the world that does not have a great financial infrastructure.
That's a very good point. I mean, opening a bank account in the emerging markets, in Africa, in many parts of the world, is very, very difficult if you don't have the balance. The banks won't give you the attention. It's as simple as that. And with MiniPay, non-custodial wallets, partnerships we also have with Tether, making that easy from basically banked from the first dollar. And that is fundamentally important.
We've talked about some of the regions that you're operating in. We're sitting here in the United Arab Emirates. How are you looking at this market?
We were here last year for this event. This is always one of my favorite events because you have such a diverse audience, people coming in from like the kind of surrounding kind of regions and countries, and I think it's a great mix of people that actually use crypto. So I think a lot more people coming up and saying, hey, I've been using your wallet and I've been running into this, right? Which at some conference people are just there to pick up the swag, right? And it's really great to see that actually people here are using the products. There's builders, many people moved to especially Dubai and Abu Dhabi as kind of hubs for projects. So for us, I think it's really important to be here, to show up here, I think that's why we're here.
So imagine we're sitting at this desk a year from now. Mm-hmm. You have rolled out the partnership even bigger. What do you think that the headline's going to be based on the results of what you're going to see?
Can I talk about the gold thing?
Please.
Yeah. What do you think?
Please.
So Tether Gold just launched in MiniPay just a few weeks ago, and it already has more users than it has had on Ethereum through its life of how many years? Maybe a few years that it's been live there, right? So that's the power of MiniPay distribution, and I think a year from now we'll be seeing probably quite a few surprises of like applications that have broken through because of MiniPay distribution, of like, definitely like the high level numbers. I mean, so far there've been over 300 million transactions through MiniPay. That's like a massive number, right? I mean, that is like not something we've really seen in crypto before, right? Having witnessed all the different stages. So I think we'll be surprised next year, and I think there's probably going to be things which we think will move faster and other things that will move slower, but I think there's now a platform, and it will also be to the builders, right, to kind of build interesting applications that are now, they can put in front of this kind of audience.
I also think, just to end this, Celo is an OG network. You guys have been doing this for a long time. You've put in the work to understand how to do this stuff compared to a lot of the folks who in the stablecoin business or the payments business who've come in the last year.
Yeah.
Thank you. I mean, we've been following for a long time. But I do think having folks like Celo, folks like Opera who understand their markets and their lanes so well are what brings the people in, because there's a trust there that you can't earn just by saying, hey, we raise some VC capital, right? You guys have the relationships, you're building the products work. I love what you just said about Tether Gold. I think it's such a great example of when the infrastructure works, then it becomes easy. And you don't have to think about all the use cases now that we have to rethink. You've done that work. So I just want to give you kudos to both of you for getting us there.
We are just quick comment. You talked about Celo being an OG. Opera as a company, we're also an OG browser company. We just celebrated 30-year anniversary a couple of years ago.
Congratulations.
Opera's been around. All respect to Opera for sure.
All right.
Cool.
Well, you heard it here first. We only have the OGs at the desk.
That's right.
Rene, Jørgen, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
For
Thanks for
joining
having
us.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
That was Rene Reinsberg, co-founder of Celo, and Jørgen Arnesen, EVP of Mobile at Opera.